When night falls, enter the woods at your peril, for inside lurks something worse than the devil. Avoid at all costs the gathering place, where at midnight the pigman roams on Cannock Chase. Cannock Chase is a sprawling area of dense woodlands, heathlands and ancient valleys in Staffordshire, England, and it's as eerie as it is beautiful. This vast expanse of natural beauty spanning 26 square miles is shrouded in a thick canopy of oak, birch and pine trees that create an almost impenetrable forest. Amidst this natural splendour lie the remnants of an Iron Age hill fort and disused World War II airfields. Local legends speak of strange apparitions, unexplained lights and weird creatures, making Cannock Chase a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts. The dark, twisting trails and hidden clearings are alive with secrets. It's a place where the line between reality and folklore blurs, and the rustle of leaves or the snap of a twig might be the first indication that you are being stalked by the pigman. The legend of the pigman appears to be rooted in the days of World War II and some ghastly experiments conducted by military scientists who, in their quest to create the ultimate human-animal hybrid, supposedly abducted a local woman and, according to the tale, they impregnated her with a pig embryo. Initially deemed a failure due to 10 months passing with no sign of advancing pregnancy, the experiment was abandoned and the unfortunate young woman was exiled from the facility, taking refuge in the dense, eerie woods of Cannock Chase. It was there, among the ancient trees and whispering winds, that she gave birth to the grotesque creature known as the pigman. On a crisp October evening in 1993, a middle-aged couple decided to take their dog for a walk around Castle Ring. The full moon cast an ominous glow over the ancient hill fort, creating shadows that danced and flickered out of sight. As they neared the centre of the ring, they noticed a figure in the distance, slowly shambling towards them. At first, it seemed like a man, wearing a strange hat of some kind, but as the figure moved closer, emerging from the darkness into the moonlit path, they were faced with the true horror of their situation. It was no man. They described the creature as having an oversized, elongated head, with huge pointy ears and a pink snout protruding from the middle of its face. Panicked, they turned and fled. As they scrambled into their car, the tense silence was shattered by a high-pitched squealing from behind them. In the spring of 2005, a lone cyclist decided to take a morning ride through Cannock Chase, enjoying the solitude of the crisp air. After a vigorous ride, she paused to catch her breath, savouring the tranquillity of the forest, and suddenly a rustling noise came from the tree line to her left. She turned, expecting to see a deer, or perhaps a wild boar. But what she saw made her blood run cold, because kneeling in the dirt was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. She later described it as the most loathsome, hideous and unprepossessing monstrosity ever to plague the woodland of England. It had a grotesque, pig-like face with beady eyes. Frozen in fear, she stood silent and still, hoping it wouldn't notice her. And, fortunately, it didn't, and she slowly backed away, before pedalling away as fast as she could. John, a 17-year-old student, often met his friends in the secluded car parks of Cannock Chase, away from the prying eyes of adults and police, doing whatever it is that teenagers do. One night in 2011, after his friends had left, he stayed behind, messing with his mobile phone in the car, and when he started the engine, the headlights illuminated the area in front of him, and to his shock, standing about 20 metres away, was the Pigman. The creature stood motionless, its eyes fixed on John with a fiendish gaze. Terrified, John sped away, driving to another care park 3 miles away. He tried to call his friends, but he found he had no signal. Stepping out of the care to get a better signal, he was struck with horror once more, because the Pigman was there again, staring at him with those same piercing eyes. John fled the scene, his mind racing with fear and confusion. How on earth had the creature moved so quickly? Was it following him? The experience left him shaken and convinced that the Pigman was more than a mere cryptid. A group of 5 friends decided to camp out for the night close to the road in Cannock Chase in 2006. They set up their tents and built a fire for warmth and light, and later a police car pulled up and the officers told them to put out the fire and move on. The group apparently refused, and the police officer left without pressing the issue any further, which they found strange. That night they were awoken by the sound of something scratching against the trees around them. Assuming it was just wildlife, they went back to sleep. The next morning, all but one member had to leave for work. The remaining camper moved their camp deeper into the woods to avoid further police attention, and as he walked a narrow path, he began to hear movement around him. He then saw a white figure on all fours, sniffing the ground like a dog, but making noises more akin to a pig. The figure then stood up on its hind legs, revealing a humanoid pig standing 7 feet tall. It chased him, squealing like a mix of a ghost and a pig, and the man fled to his car and drove away, vowing to never ever walk the forest alone again. The World War II origin story seems to be the more prevalent for this one, although there is also a rather more generic backstory in an article on the Stoke-on-Trent Lives website that states the mother of the Pigman was driven into the woods following accusations of witchcraft instead. Some versions say that the Pigman is the result of a curse being put on a human. The suggestions that Pigman is some sort of demonic entity as well, rather than an unfortunate hybrid. And I've seen the good old escaped circus freak theory online as well, which always makes me chuckle. But let's assume for a minute that this thing is real, or that at least the attempt to create it was real. Why on earth would you choose a pig-human hybrid to be in your army? Maybe it's got something to do with organ harvesting and transplants. Pigs have organs similar in size and function to humans, and a hybrid might be seen as a potential source for organ transplants that are less likely to be rejected by human recipients. Pigs are known for their physical strength and endurance, believe it or not. A hybrid might possess enhanced physical abilities, which might make them potentially useful as super soldiers, with greater resilience and endurance in combat situations. I wouldn't have associated pigs with endurance, but apparently they are scrappy little fellas. They even get used to search for landmines because they don't tire as easily as humans, and they've got natural instincts to dig stuff up. They can apparently run up to 11 miles an hour, which is definitely more than I can probably do. Pigs can also consume and digest a huge variety of food sources, which could enable hybrid soldiers to survive on minimal or varied rations. It might make them more sustainable in resource-scarce environments. Pigs have a robust immune system and can resist certain diseases that can affect humans, so hybrids might be engineered to have increased resistance to, let's say, biological weapons, for example, making them very valuable in environments where biological warfare is a real threat. Hybrids might be used to test biological or chemical agents. There's a psychological warfare angle. I mean, you imagine a 7-foot pig man coming towards you with a gun and a helmet on, and then another 100 of them behind him. Don't know about you, but it frightened me. I guess when you look at it, there's a lot of reasons why such a creature might be considered a benefit, after all. The Pigman of Cannock Chase remains a spooky and unsettling mystery that continues to haunt the dark corners of Cannock Chase, but witnesses consistently describe this pigman as a humanoid figure with disturbingly pig-like features, a snout, tusks in some cases, large ears and tattered clothing. The most compelling accounts come from those who have supposedly come face to face with this eerie creature. I certainly don't want to see it. It's not the only weird thing to have been reported from that area, though. Cannock Chase has been the site of numerous UFO sightings over the years, with witnesses often report seeing strange lights in the sky, unusual flying objects, and other aerial phenomena that defy apparent conventional explanation. And one of the most chilling legends from that area involves sightings of the black-eyed children. You may have heard of those. These ghostly apparitions are described as young children with completely black eyes who disappear and appear suddenly, often asking for help or trying to lure people away. Encounters with these entities are typically associated with intense feelings of dread. And besides the pigman and the black-eyed children and the UFOs, Cannock Chase is known for sightings of other cryptids, such as Bigfoot and Dogman. Witnesses describe encounters with large, hairy humanoid creatures or canine-like beings walking on two legs. The area is supposed to also be haunted by various spirits and ghostly apparitions. There's numerous reports of spectral figures, including a grey lady, a headless horseman, and other unidentified phantoms that roam the woods and the old buildings. I do get strong Jersey Devil vibes from this story, I have to say, and with the essentially unwanted child being the lead character. It also reminds me of the Goat Man from Texas, another entity supposedly created by meddling scientists. Greek folklore gives us the Minotaur, doesn't it, or Minotaur, however you want to pronounce that. That's another animal-human hybrid that it puts me in mind of. I don't think that British folklore or legend has any particularly pertinent human hybrids as such to bring forth as examples. I mean, we do have the Woodwose, don't we, and the Green Man, and they're often compared to Bigfoot or Dogman, but the Pigman seems to be fairly unique. We do, of course, have werewolves, don't we, but I suppose those tales were actually largely influenced by European folklore, although there is a modern-day reference to werewolves in the UK with the legend of Old Stinker, a werewolf from the Yorkshire Wolds. And despite his provenance being largely understood as some sort of eugenics during World War II, there doesn't seem to be much of a presence for the Pigman in terms of written accounts until sometime in 2013. It seems that the Fortean Times was possibly one of the first noted sources of this tale in its October 2013 issue, in which the magazine was actually promoting a new book that included the Pigman as one of its stories. The book was written by author Lee Brickley, and you can find multiple articles online about him and this book, titled UFOs, Werewolves and the Pigman, Exploring England's Strangest Location, Cannock Chase. Most of what you will find online seems to have its origins in June to July of 2013. There's certainly nothing in any newspaper archives that I have had a look for, and believe me, I've had a good look. Not from the World War II era either, which, if the armed forces were perhaps using this story as just a tool to keep people away from the area, then you'd want the stories to be found, wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you put something in the paper if you wanted people to see it and start talking about it? There's no photographic evidence, no physical evidence, and nothing other than some anecdotes found in Lee's book, unfortunately. But what do you think about this one? You let me know in the comments section below, please. Hit the like button, it's the thumbs up button in the corner there, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and share the video with your friends, and all that good YouTube stuff. Bye for now.